Move on then. Go to Song of Solomon chapter 5. Song of Solomon chapter 5. And just kind of stay there. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but just so that you're there already. Don't read ahead. I don't want you to get any ideas. But we've been talking about obviously going through love and respect, and we're finishing up here. We're starting to land the plane a little bit. We got a couple more weeks here for the men. I always forget to turn it on. Then I say something stupid. So love and respect, wanting to be on the energizing cycle, right? Treating each other the way that we want to be treated. That energizes us. So we are now on relationship, the R part of chair for men. And what that means specifically, and if you were here last time we went through this, you might have an idea or remember what we talked about. But this relationship that you have as a husband and wife, for wives, what a man needs, right, is the respect. That's what he desires. That's what energizes him. And this relationship part, and you're like, okay, yeah, relationship. We have a relationship. We're married, right? That makes sense. But this is a friendship relationship, or what his desire for a shoulder-to-shoulder companionship, side-by-side relationship. So, again, and so before we start that, just to remind you about the pink and blue. Remember, we talked about that, and you got to keep this in mind, ladies especially, that through pink and blue, we see differently, right? We interpret things differently. As women, you see pink. As men, we see blue. And the goal is for us to attempt to try to interpret it through each other's eyes. Try to interpret situations through each other's eyes. Try to understand where each other is coming from and understanding it's not exactly the same. That your husband doesn't see pink and doesn't hear pink, so he reacts and thinks and does things differently. And for us as men to understand our wives don't hear or see blue, and so they think and interpret things differently, and how we can make that interpretation transition easier and avoid misunderstandings and miscommunications, which lead to arguments and just not fun things, the crazy cycle. So remembering that as we go through this, I think will be helpful. We interpret things differently and even put importance on different things, different levels of importance on different things, right, depending on how we see. So a generalization, most, not all, most women share experiences by talking about them to one another, right? If you go on a coffee date with your girlfriends, you're going to get coffee, you're going to sit at a table, you're going to face each other, like physically, and you'll talk to one another, right? And you'll experience and you'll spend time together. You'll examine your life or what you're talking about in those moments. You'll examine where each other are at. You'll infuse experiences with impressions and emotions. That's a really big statement. I like it, though. But you examine and infuse experiences with impressions and emotions. And again, the facing each other, is small. But when women sit together and spend time together, most of the time they're going to face each other because they want that face-to-face interaction. And men, they want that with you as their husband as well, right? And we know that. We talked about that as well. But again, generally, most men build relationships by sharing experiences as well, but usually it's just sharing an activity. Most time, not all the time, but most time, guys don't go on coffee dates and sit and scoot each other's chairs close together and face each other and just talk while they sip coffee for an hour. Most of the time, guys will do stuff. They'll go do something. They'll fish. They'll hunt. They'll bowl. They'll golf. They'll grill. Right? They'll do things and share experiences that way. It's the same. They're building a relationship just like you would as a woman build a relationship with your friend. Men just do it through a different way because we're different. Again, we see through blue and we do things differently. So a real practical example here. So let's just say grilling. For instance, right? Making food, okay? All the men are on board. A man and man grilling experience, okay? So two guys or a handful of guys sitting around and we're going to make some food. Whether it's for our family, whether it's just for us, whatever. That doesn't really matter. The fire is going. There's meat on the grill. It's sizzling. It's smoking. It smells good. And guys are standing there. They got their Diet Pepsi or their coffee or whatever that they're standing there. And what are they going to do? Pretty much this. Yep. What kind of meat you got there? Yeah, that's a good one. Mm-hmm. So what temperature you like? How do you like your meat cooked? Yeah, medium rare. Yeah, that's a good one. That's good. Where are the hot spots on that grill? Oh, yeah, hot spot right over here. Like, if you move this, you're going to cook it way too fast over here. But if you move it, like, your grill, right? If you had to eat a veggie with it, would think it's better grilled? What kind of veggie would you eat? Yeah, I agree. Okay. Yeah, just a lot of standing, right? Not a lot of, they're not talking about anything serious. There's no deep conversation, most likely, not always. There's no deep conversation. It's just surface level chilling. And they'll be done, and they'll come inside, and the wife will go, "What'd you guys talk about?" Nothing. What'd you do? Just hung out. But to them, to the men, it's like we bonded out there. We cooked meat. We made something that was cooked now become edible. We did it in a skillful way. It's an art, really. And we bonded together. We know each other better by the fact that we just stood there and really probably didn't say a whole lot, but accomplished things. We built that relationship. Now, a woman in a man grilling scenario. So you get, and we'll say husband and wife. A husband and wife, right? The husband's out there grilling for the family, and the wife comes out, and she's out there too. Right? So remember the conversation and how it went with the man and the man. Husband and wife. So the wife is probably going to sit in the chair, right, at the table or at the patio chair right there while the guy's standing there grilling, and he's just got his check, and you got to watch it, right? So you're constantly watching it. And the wife is sitting there, and now she's like, okay, it's quiet out here. There's no kids running around. It's just the husband and wife, and it's real quiet. She's going to go like, so talk to my mom today. Yeah, so my sister's doing this, and then my nephew, he was doing this, and, what do you think about, my sister said this, what do you think of that? And the guy's going to be like, again, okay, now we'll pause here. Remember, guys, your wife wants to be close to you. She wants to be open with you. So a good husband would have that conversation, right? He would open himself up. He would not do what he wants to do, which is just stand there and cook, right? But he wants to just kind of be. But she wants to talk, and she's out there, and so a good husband will talk. But this is the wife's perspective. What's your plan for this or that? Oh, we got this coming up. When do you work next week? What do you got to do here? I was thinking about redoing the kids' room. I was thinking about changing this in the living room. Have you thought about doing this over here? And she wants to plan things, talk about things, maybe even talk about how she feels. And you're out there as a husband just going, I just want to cook this meat. That's all I want to do. And you as the wife are like, I want to spend time with my husband. I want to get to know him better. I want to have communication because, right, we're together. I want to have communication. I want to talk about things. It's weird, right? Wives, if you went out and just sat at the patio and you didn't talk, and he likely doesn't talk either, would you feel uncomfortable? Would it feel weird? Maybe you probably wouldn't be uncomfortable. It'd be like, okay, this is weird, right? What are we doing? We're just sitting here. We're just standing here. So none of those things that as a wife you come out to talk to your husband are bad, right? Those are all fine. There's nothing wrong with talking about any of those things. And again, husbands, we want to do the right thing and be the good husband and understand what our wife needs, and we'll change what we want because what she wants, right? But wives, understanding the difference between when the man is grilling and the wife and the husband are grilling, do you see the difference there? And for a woman, that's hard to really kind of grasp. Why that's something a guy wants to do, right? And it's not just, obviously, the man, he has friends, and that's that companionship that they have and bonding and that building that relationship is important between men and his friends. But he kind of wants that with you, too, as his wife. He wants that level of friendship, and that's the relationship part we're talking about, this shoulder-to-shoulder friendship. He kind of wants that relationship with you. So am I saying when you're around him, just don't talk, just shut up and just sit there? No, I'm not saying that all the time. But I'm saying that he does enjoy that type of relationship building. And if you, as his wife, who are supposed to be his best friend, right? You're supposed to be best friends. He would like, as a man, to have that kind of a relationship even with you as his wife. Now, for you as a wife, this is way opposite of how you operate. This is opposite of how you think. This is opposite of how it seems natural to you, because pink and blue. So, but as a wife, you want to do what your husband wants, right? You want to show him respect. You want to energize him. So find ways that you can, and this is one example. There are many other examples, but find ways to build that shoulder-to-shoulder relationship with him. I'm guessing most marriages they just don't have that relationship. Some do, and probably to an extent, but probably not as much as could be, and maybe even energize and build that relationship with your husband. Men would love to build that relationship with just doing things with you as a wife, doing activities. And I know there's a lot of times you'll go on dates and you'll do things. You may even do activities. You may even go bowling together or go hunting together or do things like that. And that's going to energize your husband to do activities. A lot of times dates end up being we sit and we talk for a long time, and those are good too, right? There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That is essential. Whatever that type of that relationship or that part of that relationship has to be there as well. But sometimes doing nothing can build a relationship. And you might say, well, how can doing nothing build a relationship? How can me just sitting on the patio chair while he cooks food and we say maybe 3 sentences to each other, how does that build anything? We don't learn anything about each other. We didn't share anything important. We did nothing, right? We just stood there. And so I'll give you another example, maybe just sitting, and a guy might feel this way too, watching a TV show or whatever. He might just be like, to you as a wife, come sit with me. Let's watch the Discovery Channel together. It's Shark Week. Come sit, let's watch Shark Week together. Or for me personally, I'd be like, come sit, let's watch this golf. We have 4 hours, 4 blessed hours of golf. Let's watch it. And my wife already fell off her chair because she rolled her eyes so hard just now. Like physically, she almost felt, Jess had to grab her so she didn't fall off. No wife necessarily wants to go watch golf with her husband for 4 hours. Not that we have 4 hours to do that with, but a husband, me, I'd be like, if she came, I'm sitting on the couch, she just sat down to watch golf with me, I'd be like, oh, okay, what's going on here? Right? That would go through my head. And that's, we're not watching a home decorating show, we're not watching a movie, right? We're not watching a show, something that you as a wife have zero interest in whatsoever, or very minimal interest in. And while you're sitting there, just sit, not talk, just sit. He might make small comments like, look at the teeth on that one, right, for a shark, or I could totally do that myself, right? But mostly there's not a lot of talking going on. Mostly it's just silence, watching the show, watching the sport, watching whatever it is that he likes that you might not have a lot of interest in. And he might try to tell you about things that are going on. He might try to explain things to you if he feels like you don't understand or don't know what's going there. But the typical wife sitting there watching golf, watching whatever, watching racing, watching the Discovery Channel, starts to think about all the things she's got to do. She starts to go, okay, I got this laundry down there that I got to put away today. Like, that's on my list. And I'm just sitting here. Okay, well, I got to get the kids ready. The kids got to clean their room. Oh man, I think the girl's left all her toys there. She's got to go clean that. This is going through your head while the sharks are killing the seals, right? And your husband's like, yes! Did you see the carnage, right? Circle of life. And he's enjoying it, and you're just, but that's all he's saying. Like, he's not talking to you about his day. He's not telling you about his emotions. He's not asking you about your emotions or how you're feeling. There's just seal eating carnage, and he's enjoying it, and you're sitting there going, I have so many things to do right now. I have to start getting dinner ready. What are the kids going to wear tomorrow? Where are we going to go? So most of the time, typical wife that's sitting there will eventually, she'll get up and go do those things. Because nothing's happening here. There's nothing's going on. We're not talking. We're not in a conversation. We're not doing anything. We're just sitting here doing nothing. I got things to do. So most of the time, the wife will get up and go do things. And she'll go get those things done. Again, doing those things are necessary, right? You have to get them done. There's nothing wrong with those things. But in her mind, nothing is happening. So I'm just going to get up and accomplish the things I have to accomplish. So why do men like that kind of relationship? If two guys are watching Shark Channel, they're high-fiving each other over the seals being eaten. Or they're being excited about the missed putt that got really close. Right? They'll stay. They won't be thinking about what they got to do later. I'm here till this is over, and we're just going to sit here and do whatever we're doing. Why do men like that? Why do men want that? And you got to remember, again, as a wife, you see through pink. He sees through blue. He is not like he's not you. He's not like your girlfriends. Right? He's not. And you don't want him to be. Right? You don't want him to be like your girlfriends. You want him to be your husband. And he does not operate and build a relationship in the same way that you do. Now, again, husbands, you need to work on building your relationship in a way that she understands. Openness, closeness, understanding. Those are things that you need to work on. You can't just go, I'm a man, I see through blue, so just sit and shut up. I'm just going to sit here and be quiet. That's the way it goes. No, that's not what I'm saying for us as guys. We need to work on ourselves. But for wives, you need to understand that's naturally blue how a relationship he builds with his friends, and he would like to have that relationship with you to a degree. Interpreting the world only ever through pink, right? If all you ever do is see things how you see them and see things how you want them to be done and how you understand the relationship to be built as pink, you're going to miss stuff. You will. Just as if a husband only ever interpreted everything through blue, he's going to miss stuff. He's not going to get the full benefits of the relationship that you can have and build because all he wants to see is blue. But if you as a wife only see pink and don't understand how his brain works and just be like, whatever, let him do that with his guy friends. I don't have time for this. You miss something. You miss a very good opportunity to have a different level of friendship and relationship with your husband. Is there a woman in here that doesn't want to have a good friendship with her husband? I don't think there's any woman that would say, I just don't want to have friendship. I only want the marriage relationship and the romantic part and the things that I want as a woman, the openness and closeness, that's all I want. I don't really care if he wants something different or wants something I haven't thought of. Hopefully most women would be willing to say, I want to give him the friendship, that relationship level that he desires. And yes, can he go get that with his guy friends? Absolutely. He absolutely can. But if you can also offer that to him, is that just not another level of relationship that you can build upon in your marriage? Why would you not want that? Why would you say it's not enough time, or I don't want to spend that time to do that, or it's boring to me? Right? He can get that with his friends, of course. But you are more than just his friend, right? You and your husband, your lovers, your best friends, your leave, cleave, weave, right? You're knit. Your two become one. There are no other two people. No guy friend of his is two become one. None. That's only you and him. That's your relationship. So if you can give him and offer that friendship level of relationship to him as well, that just strengthens your relationship. It makes it more deeper. And so all that we've been talking about here is our practical examples, real life things. But, God's word does say something about the friendship, the phileo love that a husband and wife should have. So you're in Song of Solomon, right? Song of Solomon chapter 5. Go down to verse number 10. Now we're going to read through 10 to 16, and it's going to be mushy. It's going to be a bunch of mushy, lovey-dovey things. And you girls, you should take notes. These are exactly what your husband wants to hear you say about him. Okay? So, Song of Solomon 5, verse number 10. This is the wife talking. My beloved is white and ruddy, the chiefest among 10,000. He's the best among 10,000. You ever said that to your husband before? His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy. Can't apply to everybody, I understand. And black as a raven. Also can't apply to everybody, I understand. His eyes are as the eyes of doves by the river of waters, washed with milk and fitly set. His cheeks are as a bed of spices, as sweet flowers. His lips like lilies dropping sweet-smelling myrrh. Man, this is dripping is right. His hands are as gold rings set with the beryl. His belly as bright ivory overlaid with sapphires. That's a family pack right there, I think. Is what they're saying. His legs are as pillars of marble set upon sockets of fine gold. His countenance is as Lebanon, excellent as the cedars. His mouth is most sweet. Yea, he is altogether lovely. This is my beloved, and this is my friend, O daughters of Jerusalem. So this passage here is a ache all over love, right? It's just there's a lot of feeling, there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of love in these statements that she's talking about her man in such flowery terms. How much she loves him and admires him and is attracted to him. All these things about him that she just, big words, right? That say a lot about how she feels. Again, ache all over love. But also that word friend, this is my friend. That friend is ra, or ray, which means companion or fellow. Friend, companion. That's what that word means. So she gives all these flowery love, like deep, deep love, unconditional love for this man and how she views him. And she says, but he's my friend. He's my buddy. He's my companion. And that's the kind of relationship that we're talking about here that your husband wants. I mean, he may not even, most likely, he doesn't expect that from you as his wife. He doesn't expect that kind of friendship relationship, shoulder to shoulder, doing things together, friendship. He expects that doesn't come from his wife. That only can come from his friends, his guy friends. But I think in this passage, and also if you want to go to Titus chapter 2, that is a relationship that as a wife you can have with your husband. But it's going to take you initiating that. Your husband's not going to initiate. He may ask for it. It may say, hey, come sit with me. Come watch me. I'm in the garage working on stuff. Just come out, be out here with me. I'm grilling. Just come sit out with me. He may try to initiate it, but he can't force you to do that, right? He can't force you to have that companionship, shoulder to shoulder friendship. That's going to be you initiating as a wife. You have to do it. You have to do it. You have to be the one to do it that makes that relationship happen. Titus chapter 2, verse number 4. The Bible says, and this is talking about the elder women teaching the younger women, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Now, if you look at that word love, it's phileo, which is I like you. The love that the elder women are supposed to teach the younger women is how to be a friend, how to like your husband, how to love your husband, love your children, how to be like just friends with your husband. Not the deep agape love, but the friendship, phileo love, to love their husbands, to like their husbands. And if you remember the question we asked, I don't know how many weeks ago, right? When a husband's asked, does your wife love you? He's like, oh yeah, of course my wife loves me. He knows, your husband knows you love him. But then if you ask him, but does she like you? He might be like, maybe. Depends on the day, right? And that's the question that a husband has sometimes. My wife loves me. I have no doubt about that, right? Whereas a wife may say, do you love me? And she wonders, and she wants to know. Husband doesn't doubt, do you love me? But he sometimes wonders, does she like me? Right? And that's the idea here, that friendship, the like, it's not as deep and emotional as you as a wife feel love. It's a respect, right? It's what men understand. It's a respect friendship. It's a like. There's love there too, but it's I respect you and I like being around you because you are who you are. And I could just be around you as a wife to a husband because it's you. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to talk about stuff. I just like you for who you are and I want to be where you're at. That's the kind of relationship that a man wants from his wife. And again, he may not even understand that he may not even expect that from her, because why would he? Maybe, and this is, again, for a wife, it's hard to comprehend that, right? Because it goes against everything pink. It's strictly blue. So to show your husband that you like him in this way, it's going to require a lot of patience on your part as a wife. It's going to require you to do something you may not enjoy and may just be like, you have to dig your fingers into that couch so you don't get up. You may have to, it has to be a purposeful, patient, just be with your husband to show him that you should want to show him that you like him in that way. You want him to know you like him. So when the question comes, does your wife love you? Yes, but does she like you? He goes like, oh yeah. He doesn't question it. He doesn't go, oh. He says, yeah, she likes me. And he knows that. That's your goal as a wife, to have your husband not wonder, does she like me today? You want him to know she likes me. She likes me. So to sit with him and maybe not talk much at all is going to require patience. Men enjoy just being in a way that sometimes doesn't compute right with pink. But understand that it's true. Men like to just be. And it doesn't matter if it computes. Doesn't matter if it's what you would prefer or what you feel like it should be. Like, you want to make it more? You want to, let's do something else. Let's make this time worthwhile. Let's have a conversation. Let's explore this more. Men don't always need that, right? Men don't always need that. And that's going to require patience and on-purpose actions from the wife. So I would like to give a little bit more of man's thought process here. And again, this is general. Not every man is going to think this way. I didn't do a survey to make sure I was on the right track with everybody. But again, men develop relationships by doing things side by side. Experiences and mutual interests result in a sense of bonding, right? So when they find something they like, they both enjoy, and they do it together, they bond, right? There's just an automatic bond there. There's little negativity in this experiences, and very few complaints in this experiences. They don't really complain about much, or there's not a lot of negativity that comes up, and they rarely focus on their relationship as men, right? They're not going to talk about their status. Not always. Sometimes that happens, but rarely do they focus on their relationship, what they feel about each other. They rarely discuss how they feel about each other. It just doesn't come up, right? They just don't talk that way. But as their friendship grows, as they do more things together, as they spend more quiet time together, one thing is for certain, they're there for each other, right? As that relationship bonds, when they spend doing things together, and it could be work too, right? Guys, again, we were made to work. That was our first job given by the Lord, was to work. So if you get a couple guys cleaning out a garage together, or building something, or making something, there's probably not a lot of talking going on other than measurements and where things go and making sure things are done correctly. They aren't talking about anything else. But when they're done, they have bonded. They have built a relationship, and they know they're there for each other. And the more they do those things, the more that relationship builds. And they're what, back when I was a kid, we called them blood brothers. Right? And you take your blood brother and you'd prick your finger, and he'd prick his finger, and you'd put your fingers together, and you were blood brothers now. That's right. It's weird, I know, but that's what guys did. Now we share each other's blood. We're blood brothers. And if you think about war, you think about battle, right? It's a bond that forms, that they're ready to battle. They're ready to build forts as kids, or castles. When we become adults in churches, we build castles. And they're ready to die for their blood brothers, right? They'll do anything. They'll go to any length for the man, or the boy in this case, for younger kids, the friendship that they built by doing things together. So now that man grows up, he finds an amazing woman, you. He falls in love with you, and he marries you. And now in his maleness, in his male brain, he expects that side-by-side relationship to exist there too. But eventually that doesn't happen, and so then they get to a point where they just don't think that's possible with this woman that they love, that they fell in love with. They just don't think that's a possible part of this relationship. It comes down to our basic needs as far as men and women. What are our basic needs? And, our love and respect. Women need love, men need respect. Not exclusively, but that is the basic, most needed thing for each one of us. The wife, she needs time. She needs time together to talk, to spend time, to be open, to be honest, to be transparent. A wife feels loved when she gets that time and those conversations happen. She has to have that closeness. He needs side-by-side time of bonding. There has to be a give and take on both sides, right? The wife needs, she needs to talk. She's not, if all you ever do is just sit and not do anything, she's not going to feel loved. She's going to feel unloved, right? She's going to feel like you have no interest in her, and she's going to feel unloved. She needs that openness. But there has to be a give and take, and that's every aspect of marriage. And that's part of this whole love and respect, is understanding, changing our thoughts in our marriage, how it's all about me. What my needs are, and not even, like in a defiant, do what I want, I don't care about you way. But the way we operate is, if I don't feel loved, I'm cranky. If I don't feel loved, I'm going to be, we're going to be on the crazy cycle. If I don't feel respected, I'm not going to be loving. If I don't feel loved, I'm not going to respect you. It may not come across in our minds in those exact thoughts, but in the way we act, that's how we are, because we're human and we want what we want. And we default to selfishness, to pride, to me, to us, even in this relationship of marriage. So in all aspects of our marriage, this love and respect, there has to be a give and take. Both needs from both sides need to be fulfilled by the other side. Both of them. They both have to be fulfilled. It cannot be only all one side and never the other. Right? If it's only ever love, if it's only ever openness, and it's never side by side, not just doing nothing, we're askew. We're off in that area. If it's only ever, no, I don't talk, I'm quiet, I don't talk about my emotions, I don't open up to my wife because I just don't want to do that, I'm not comfortable with that, that's skewed the wrong way too. Then it's all about you. It's not about her. It's all about you. It's not about him. There has to be both sides meeting the other side's need. It can't be all one side and never the other. That's viewing only through one lens. That's saying it's all blue or it's all pink. And I don't understand the other side, so I won't attempt to change it. You have to attempt to see through the other side and meet the other side's needs. That's your responsibility as the one on your side where you stand, is to meet the guy or the girl on the other side and to meet their needs. That's your responsibility. Both pink and blue are needed. They have to be there. And it doesn't always come easy. Sometimes it's not something you want to do. Sometimes it's something you actively don't want to do. But if she needs it, you do it. You open up and you let go, and you tell your wife your deepest, most inner thoughts and secrets, because that's how she feels loved. You do it. And if he just needs you to be, then you sit and you be and you hang out with him and you just be around him and enjoy what he's doing and enjoy his company and his presence and be around where he's at. Guys, if you open up and quit being the stone wall that you just think you are because that's how you've grown up, that's how your dad was, that's my personality, and you open up, your wife will be energized. She will feel loved. She'll be energized within your marriage relationship. That's what you want. And ladies, if you respect your husband in a way in this lesson here where you just hang out with him and just be with him, ask him questions about what he's doing, not what he's thinking or what he's feeling, and just get into where he is at, he will be energized. You want an energized husband. You don't want a demoralized husband. You don't want a shut off husband. You want an energized husband. Energize your husband. And remember, most of the time when you give your husband the respect that he needs, so desperately needs, and you energize him, he's most likely going to respond with the love that you need. Because that's how God built us. When men feel respected, their initial reaction is, okay, how do I serve? How do I love? And that comes out. It may not happen the very first time, but that's how men are built. So you want him energized, ladies. You want your husband energized. Do you not? You want an energized husband. You don't want a shut off, demoralized, defeated husband. And if you can energize him by your actions, why would you not? Why would you say I'm uncomfortable with it? Why would you decide not to do it? Right? Just try it. Try it. Be with him. Minimal talking. Just be. If he's working on something somewhere and you're home or you're where he is and you're here doing things and he's over here doing things and you know he's going to be there a while, or he's watching TV or he's whatever he's doing, just go be with him. Pull a chair up and just sit. If he's outside grilling, go sit at the patio table and just sit there. Don't ask him about his day. Don't try to see how he's feeling. Don't tell him about all the emotions. Just be with him. Just hang out. Just try it. Will you be energized by it if you do that, wives? Probably not. Probably not. You'll probably be bored. You'll probably feel uncomfortable. You'll probably feel like this is weird, right? You won't feel good. But will he be energized by it? Once he gets over the what's happening thought, yes. He will be energized by it. He will enjoy it. And again, you want him to be energized. You take time to energize him, you'll likely get back the openness that you want. That time you spend with him may start real quiet, but it may be eventually, it may turn into a good conversation, right? He may open up to you in those moments, and you might start talking about things that you didn't plan on doing. You just were out there to be with him, and it opened him up. You might have those conversations, but it started with you just being, just hanging out. And it's opposite, again, of what you want to do as a wife, I understand. And men don't always necessarily even know that that's what we need, but it's evident. If you look at a couple scriptures here, if you look at the relationships guys have with each other and how they operate with Blue, it's pretty evident. So I could not find a good picture for a couple just being. So here's Mr. and Mrs. Bob Jones And they're just being together. Look at this happy couple. They're thrilled with their marriage. They're so excited. They aren't talking. They're just chilling. Okay? So I had no other good picture. So your husband will feel you value his friendship when you tell him you like him. Yes, he knows you love him. I mean, I'm not saying don't ever tell your husband you love him. Definitely do. But if you tell him you like him and you show him you like him, like you just be his friend. Like you would with your friends. When you like your friends, what do? Just tell him you like him. Tell him you like who he is. You respond to his invitation to engage in recreational activities, or you come along to watch him. Again, that doesn't have to be every time, right? But if he's doing something, he's like, hey, you want to come? Say yes. I'm going to go get the car wash. You want to come? Yep. You're just going to sit if you're going through automatic car wash, you're just going to sit in the car wash, right? Don't talk. Don't talk about all the stuff. Just sit. Let the blue lights and the soap come over. I don't know, hold his hand. Who knows? Some other things might happen. That's okay too. It's private. Do things together. You enable him to open up and talk to you as you do things shoulder to shoulder. That's what I mentioned. If you just are there and you're just being and just hanging out, and if he starts to open up, then allow that to happen, right? Don't overtake the conversation. Don't steer it in the direction you want it to go to. If he starts talking, let him talk and follow his lead in that conversation. Allow him to be open. And you'd be surprised how often that'll happen if you just hang out and just give him that shoulder-to-shoulder time. Don't denounce his shoulder-to-shoulder activity with his male friends to get him to spend more face-to-face time with you, right? Don't discourage his friendships with other men in order to spend more time with you. Respect his friendships, and he'll be more likely to want you to join him in those experiences at other times. Now, guys, you got to be, again, it's not all about you. And I know we're talking to women and saying, it's not about you, let your husband be. But guys, it's not about you too. So if you could be like, I'm going to write that down, and I'm just, every time I want to do something, I'll be like, remember that point? You're supposed to let me. No, there's a balance, right? You want to spend your time with your wife. If all you're doing is hanging out with your buddies, you're askew a little bit in your priorities there. So it's important. It's not something that's talked about. It's not something that even is thought about. It's not something I've done think of. But it's important. A friendship is another level of your relationship that can exist, but it's going to require most of the work to be done from the wives. And it's going to be hard. It's going to be awkward. It's not going to be natural. But if you put the time in and give that respect with that shoulder-to-shoulder friendship, it's going to develop another level of relationship that you have in your marriage that's going to deepen it and most likely open him up more than he was before. So